Number 12, Grant Robertson.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. My question is to the Minister of Health. Does he support the food and nutrition guidelines for healthy children and young people produced by the Ministry of Health?
The Honourable Jonathan Coleman.
Mr Speaker, on behalf of the Minister of Health, the food and nutrition guidelines for healthy children and young people are in draft and have been out for public consultation, which closed on the 13th of December. The Ministry is considering the 44 submissions to the consultation document, and I expect to receive advice from the Ministry later this year. The new guidelines will be published once they have been finalised.
Grant Robertson.
What is his response to Lisa Williams from Timaru, who has to spend $180 a week for her family to meet the guideline of eating 5 servings of fruit and vegetables a day, which she says is out of reach for her family?
The Honourable Jonathan Coleman.
Well, Mr Speaker, on behalf of the Minister of Health, my response would be, if you want to look at the history of food prices, in Labour's last year, inflation hit 5.1%, yet food prices went up 11%, and over the tenure of the Labour government, food inflation overall was 36%. So that person really has to look back at the history to really understand the problem.
Grant Robertson.
Does he agree with the findings of the study by the Wellington Regional Public Health Service that shows that a family supported by a minimum wage earner would need to spend more than 50% of their income after rent to give their family a healthy diet, a figure that puts them into the globally recognised category of being in food stress?
On behalf of the Minister, well, I'd have to read the study because, frankly, I don't have any faith that the member there has reported those findings in context. So I'd be happy to be sent a copy of it.
Supplementary question.
Grant Robertson.
Does he accept that the cost of healthy food is putting it out of reach for many New Zealanders as the cost of living soars? And if so, what specific actions will his government undertake to ease pressure on New Zealand families?
The Honourable Jonathan Coleman.
On behalf of the Minister of Health, look, this is a long-term issue. We know that many New Zealand families are having difficulties, but a lot of this problem started under that member's government, and we've been left with the task of clearing up the mess.
Question, Speaker. Supplementary.
I beg your pardon, yes, supplementary question, Grant Robertson.
What is the point of issuing guidelines for healthy eating for young people if his government is not prepared to step up and take specific actions to reduce the cost of living?
The Honourable Jonathan Coleman.
On behalf of the Minister, that member needs to pay attention to the detail. The guidelines haven't been issued. They've been out for consultation, and we will be responding when we've considered the advice and the submissions.
Point of order, Grant Robertson.
Is that a sub?
No, supplementary question, Toro off level.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. To the Minister, does he agree with page 114 of the guidelines that, quote, access to safe and healthy food will influence nutrient intakes, end of quote, for Māori tamariki, rangatahi and their whānau, and that supporting the Māori Party's policy to remove GST from healthy foods would make healthy food more accessible for young Māori? If not, why?
The Honourable Jonathan Coleman.
On behalf of the Minister of Health, I've made the government's position on the guidelines very clear, and of course the member will know the government's position on GST.
Grant Robertson, point of order.
Mr Speaker, I seek leave of the House to table the report from the Wellington Regional Public Health Service, Food Costs for Families, that shows that a family with a minimum wage earner will need to spend 50% of their income to get a healthy diet after rent.
Leave is sought to table that document. Is there any objection? There is no objection. And that brings to a close questions for oral answer.